Hi there, it's Karen here, Independent Stampin Up demonstrator in Central Scotland. Welcome back to Corrie Papercrafts, and today's project is this gift box. I've made it as a Mother's Day gift box, but you could make it as an Easter box, just change it up a little bit. But it's actually a divided box, so there's two compartments just to change it up a little bit. Now I'm going to have to undo the bow just to let you see inside. So there you go, two little compartments inside. So the box measures just slightly over 4 inches square. It's about 4 1/16 square, and it's 2 inches deep. So the lid is about 4 inches square and it's 1 inch deep as well, and it is a reinforced lid, which is my favourite type of lid to do. For those who do know me in the crafting world, that'll not be any great surprise. So I'm going to show you how I made it. It's really quick and easy to make, so I'll show you just now. So I'm going to put this one over to the side. What you'll need are 2 pieces of card for the base, which measure 6 inches by 8 inches, and a piece of designer series paper which measures 8 1/8 by 8 1/8, just so that gives you enough room to have the double thickness of paper plus your corners and fit nicely over the box, because again, when you join these two together, you do add a little bit of extra width just here. So the designer series paper that I'm using is the lovely Pleased Us punch, which I have shown in a previous video, but I've got some bits of it here. This is the one that matches our tulip punch and the umbrella punch, double-sided as always, and 4 different designs and 3 of each design, so it's a 12 sheet pack altogether. And this is actually the piece which matches the little blooms punch, but I've just decided to use the stripy side, because I think that would be too busy with the ribbon and the tulips as well. So I'm going to stick to my original plan and just make the same box again to let you see it. And the stamp set I'm using is the Timeless Tulips stamp set, which is here. So it's got quite nice sentiments. It does have an Easter sentiment. It's got a Happy Mother's Day as well, but general other sentiments: get well, happy birthday, just a general hello, may the memories of yesterday comfort you today. So you could adapt that and use it to make a sympathy card as well. And the stamps I'm going to use today are this tulip here and this leaf here, and these are the ones that match the tulip punch, so we're going to be using that too. So to make the bases, first of all, let me just scooch all this out of the way and bring in my scoreboard. Oops, and thump the tripod at the same time. Let me just try and, it's kind of hard, let me just move my lamp a little bit and see if I can get that glare away just until I've done my scoring. I don't think I'm going to manage. Nope, apologies. I'll just do the scoring very quickly so that there's not too much glare. So you're going to score your base pieces on 2 inches on all 4 sides. And we're just going to do exactly the same on both pieces of card. There we go, and while I've got the scoreboard out, I'll just score my lid at the same time. So for the lid, because it's reinforced, there are 2 score lines on each side, so you're going to score at 1 and at 2 inches on all sides. There we are, that's all the scoring done. So I'll get the scoreboard out of the way and get rid of that glare. So I'm going to fold and burnish all the score lines on both pieces of the base. There we are, and if I can find my paper snips, here we go. We're just going to put the box together. So again, as I normally do, particularly on my square boxes, I'm going to cut my corner tabs, but I'm going to rotate each time so that it just gives the box a little bit of extra strength on each corner, especially if you're going to put something heavy in or fill it with sweeties. And because we don't need all that for the flap, I'm just going to cut off about half. It's not precision at all, just cut a chunk off. So then I'm going to rotate it and do the same again, and I'm going to do that on all four corners of both pieces. So because you're going to be sitting watching me, because my Movie Maker app never seems to fast forward my videos when I try to get it to do it, so unfortunately you're going to have to watch me cutting all these corners, but feel free to fast forward because it's not that interesting. One tip though is not to drag your fingers with your paper snips, which I've done with everything I've made today. There we are, so that's one piece, and just the same again on this one. And I don't think I actually told you the colours of the cardstock that I'm using for the base. So this is Daffodil Delight and the other piece is Calypso Coral, and those are two of the colours in these designer series papers. But you've got quite a lot of leeway with the colours because there are lots of different colours in them, but even if it's not part of the suite, we've still got so many colours that would match anyway. For example, Highland Heather is one of the colours in one of the colours that is used in some of these little flowers. That was harder to say than it should have been, but I could get away with making a box, for example, with Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape, for example. So it doesn't have to be one of the colours that's in the suite. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't match. Have I done that right? Yes, I have. I think I've just done it in the opposite direction. Had to think there. Come on. There we are. Okay, so that's my bases cut, and then I'm going to grab my tearing tape and just put a little bit along each of these flaps, and I'm actually going to put a couple of pieces on as usual. Get my wee ruler. I'm going to put a couple of pieces on each flap just to make sure that they stick down and don't get caught on whatever I put inside the box. And I've got an array of chocolates. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put in them. Actually, I've still got lots of little Easter eggs and various other chocolates. So just as quickly as I can, I'm popping tape on all these tabs, but again, feel free to fast forward, either if you don't want to listen to my chat, or if you just get bored watching tape getting put onto endless flaps on boxes, which the majority of us really know how to do. But I'll be as quick as I can. And just pop that on there. I can't put tearing tape on without using my ruler either. I just can't. I'm quite pernickety about it going right to the edges, but I don't like uneven edges when I try and tear it myself. I watch videos with other people doing it and they do it perfectly, and I don't know how they manage it, but it never works for me. So it's over to my trusty ruler. You're a good wee ruler, aren't you? And last one, you'll be glad to hear. Oops a daisy, do not do that and stick your tape to the box as well as the flap. That wasn't a good idea, Karen. Never mind. I wonder, I might get away with. I thought my eraser, my adhesive eraser might take it and smooth it down a little bit, but it's just going to make it worse, so I'm not going to. And then all I want to do is take the backing off all my tape and then stick the bases together. So I'll take all the tape off first. Oops. And as usual, straight edge to folded edge on each corner. I don't want you to be sticking out though. There we are, so that's one piece. If you've got any furry corners, just snip the very ends off them, but be careful that you don't actually cut your box. And I'm looking for my paper folder just to make sure those are well stuck as well. Okay, so in the interest of being quick, I won't do that on this box, but you get the idea. It just makes sure that the tape's stuck down right along the edge and into the corners. And that's my two boxes made, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to join them together like this. Now I had thought about using actually, where's that? That's fine, I'll put the tape on here. I thought about using liquid glue, but I didn't want it to warp the card because I'd have to put quite a lot on to get the card to stick together, the boxes to stick together. So I just opted for tearing tape in the end. So I'm just going to put a few pieces of tearing tape along the boxes. See what I mean? I'm never successful. So I just started by putting a piece along each of the outer edges, and I want it as close to the edge as possible but without actually overlapping. I'm just going to have to bring in my snips for now, but then I need to remember and clean them. And then a piece in the middle. Oops. And then I popped a bit just in between those as well, just to give it a little bit more stability. Could have centred that a bit better, Karen, but never mind. That's not particularly evenly between the two. And last piece, just along here. There we are. And then just give them a wee press down and take the backings off. Oops. Don't take the tape back off though, just the backing. Come on. For goodness sake. There we are. And then to make sure they went together straight, I just lined them up on my grid paper. So I'm using this thick line here and this line up here, but more this line here, just to make sure they're straight. And then once I was happy that they were pretty much even, I just joined one end together and gradually moved it along. There we are. And then I just gave it all a good press. There we go, and that's my base together. So putting that to the side, I'm now going to fold and burnish the score lines on my lid and put that together too. There we are. And it's the same principle for a reinforced box. Again, I'm going to rotate every time I cut a corner, but you'll see because you've got 2 score lines, you've got 4 little squares in each corner. I think it's easier to see here. So you've probably seen in other videos, we're going to remove these 3 parts on every corner. Okay, or if you start from the left hand side, you're going to remove these 3 corners. So it's an L shape or a reversed L shape that you're actually removing, because these ones on the inside are going to become the flaps that help to hold your lid together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down both of these score lines to the second score line here, taking the score line off as I go, just like that, and then notching a little bit. I'm going to remove these 2 completely, and then I'm going to cut this part off. I'm going to notch here and notch here. Oops, could have done that a little bit better, I think. There we are. Oh, my scissors are sticky now. So that's what we're left with on each corner. Okay, so turning it round, cut up to second score line on that score line, and again here taking the score lines as I go, notch a little bit when I remove that, take that off completely, notch here, and notch here. Don't have to be precise. Here, cut here, notch a bit, cut that straight off, notch, notch and notch, or wedge, whatever you prefer to call it, and last one. So remove that completely, take that off, notch there, and notch there. And then for adding my tape, I need to turn it over to begin with and just put a piece of tape along each of these little flaps near the fold line, but not right on it, just slightly shy of the fold piece here, and a piece here, and then I'm going to turn it over, and whoops, I need to add a piece of tape along near to the edge of these outside edges, just here, and again on all 4 sides. And last one, oops, a bit straighter than that though. You don't have to go right to the very edge, but you want that to stay folded down when your box is put together. So just give these a little bit of an extra press. Same with these. There we go. And then I'm going to add these little, I'm going to put these little flaps over first, because essentially this is how you would put your lid together if it wasn't reinforced. So these are the tabs that actually form the lid. These are just extra bits that are reinforcing it. So these tabs are one of the most important parts of your lid. And again, I just like to give it an extra press with my paper folder. There we are. And then, oops, if you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to take the backing off each of these edges and then just fold this part in, and that's how you get your reinforced lid. Some people like to sit it up and do it this way, but I prefer to put it together flat, and then I know that I've not bent it as I folded it over, because once it's stuck down, it's pretty much stuck down. So I just keep it flat on the top worktop and then press it down. And if you find that the paper meets this fold here and is going to be just a little bit too long, if you just poke it with the end of your paper folder, it puts it into that edge nicely. I think I remember my papa doing that when he was wallpapering, same sort of principle. I don't wallpaper, hate decorating. So the moment of truth is, this lid now should fit just nicely onto your box, and it doesn't come off, but it's not too tight either. So that's your box made, and now we want to stamp a couple of tulips and a couple of leaves, and I've already got my stamps mounted on blocks, and I'm going to use Calypso Coral and Daffodil Delight for my two tulips and Granny Apple Green for the leaves. So I need a scrap piece of paper to, whoops, just off camera there, I threw my Daffodil Delight stamp pad at my top. I'm glad it's got all those colours in it so you can't actually see it. That wasn't clever. So, and I've just sat my hand, it's one of those days, I've just sat my hand in my Calypso Coral ink pad as well. Right, move it out of the way. So, a Daffodil Delight tulip on this side of my Whisper White cardstock. There we are, absolutely gorgeous. Give my stamp a bit of a clean, and since I'm not safe to be around ink today, I'm going to close my pads, ink pads as I go, and a Calypso Coral as well, and just give that a clean. There we go. And then I'll stamp a couple of leaves at the same time. Now if you stamp these on the same piece of card, you need to leave quite a bit of distance between them, because as you can see, the tulip and the leaf are right next to each other on the punch, so you don't always get the distance right between them. So I just use two separate bits of card. So I'm going to bring in my tulip punch and punch out my two tulips. You get a little bit of a white border around them. I'm going to have to tilt it towards myself just for a second to make sure it's kind of even all the way around. And then once you're kind of happy with where it is, just grip it slightly and squeeze, and you'll always get an extra bit which you don't need when you punch your tulip, because you catch a bit of the leaf which is next to it. And I'm just going to do the same again with my Daffodil Delight one. That looks better right there. There we go. Just get rid of all those little scrappy bits. I think I've moved my grid paper as well. And then the leaf, I'm going to come along and punch that out, or those out, because I've got two. And again, I'm just trying to make sure that it's got an even border all the way around before I punch it out. That landed perfectly on the pile there. And this last one, that looks about right. Oh, there we go. So I actually put these on before I tied my ribbon, but I'm going to leave them there for now because I also want to stamp my Happy Mother's Day. So I'm going to pop that leaf off of this block, and I'm going to grab my Happy Mother's Day, which I don't think I put away, and now I think it's maybe stuck to the bottom of something else. Here it is here. My stamp blocks really need a clean. I haven't washed that one very well either. And I need another piece of scrap white, and I'm going to stamp my Happy Mother's Day in Calypso Coral. Just pop that in the middle of there. And I did catch the corner of it on the ink pad and ended up with a splodge there, but that's okay because I'm going to cut that out. So I'm going to grab my Big Shot and try and get that where you can see it. There we go. And I'll pop my card on there, and I'm going to bring in my Stitched So Sweetly dies, which you've seen me use a few times, and I'm going to use the second size of the rectangular ones and just set it at a bit of an angle and hope that the magnets play ball, and try and centre that as much as I can. I think that looks fairly even. Another plate on top without moving it, pop it through the die cutter and just get rid of this because it shakes everything. So just pop that back out of the way, and there you go. It's an absolutely beautiful scalloped edge that you get. I often end up with little furry bits on the edges, which I just use my nail to scrape off. There we go. And a couple of dimensionals on the back of here, and actually what I did with this was I just used a couple of the edgings. Use every part of your dimensionals, not just the dimensionals, and I just kind of set one close to that end and one close to that end so that it doesn't buckle too much. Oh, maybe move that along a little bit, Karen. There we go. And bring my box back in. So I want to add a couple of dimensionals to the middle of my Coastal Cabana tulip, like that, and I'm just going to pop that on the top corner just now because it kind of sets the scene for the rest. And I'm just overlapping the edge of the box very slightly, but because I want this tulip to sit over the edge of my Coastal Cabana one, I'm actually going to put the dimensionals on this edge here, and I've just thrown them away and I don't know what I did with them. Right beside you, Karen. Oh, that's bad. That is bad. So 1, 2 on there, and that lets this edge sit over the top of that tulip, and the dimensionals stick it to the box there. So I'm going to put one dimensional in the middle of one of the leaves, and was it that end? No, it was the thinner end. I'm just going to slot that underneath my Coastal Cabana. Hi Hi there, sorry about that, my camera decided to switch itself off. It doesn't normally, so I'll just splice these two videos together, and what I want to do is just slide this leaf in between here. So on this edge here I'm going to add some liquid glue. Oops, not too much, just enough to hold it in place. So I'm just going to slide that underneath my Daffodil Delight tulip, just like that, and just give it a press down. And then I tied my ribbon on so that I could then gauge where my Happy Mother's Day went at the bottom, and just cut off enough to be able to tie a bow. And the ribbon I'm using for this is the Granny Apple Green textured weave ribbon. It's 1/2 inch thick and it's absolutely beautiful. I really like it, and I don't use it nearly enough, so I thought Mother's Day and Easter is the perfect time to use it. And I'm thinking that I might have wanted to give myself a little bit more ribbon than I have, but we'll try it. It's quite forgiving as well, so if you're not that great at tying bows, it's not too bad to work with. It's a smallish box, so you want a smallish bow. I probably could have done with a slightly longer piece of ribbon. Yeah, I'm not happy with that at all, so I'll use that for something else. It won't be wasted, I promise. I'll just cut off a longer piece this time, and I'll use that other ribbon for a gift bag or something. So tie a bow just like this. Oops. Try and keep that edge straight. There we go. And then just neaten up your bow, get the tails to where you want them, have the loops the size that you want them, and then just move that into the middle of your box. And I'm going to just trim those like that, and come back in with my Happy Mother's Day. Whoops. Take the backing off and just add that to the bottom in the middle, about there. There we are. And that's my Mother's Day box. In the UK, I don't think I said, Mother's Day is in March for us, so that's on the 17th of March, which is a week this Sunday. So for my mum, I think I'll pop some chocolates into my box and put some of our favourite chocolates in. And I'll just tie the bow again on this, the original box here. There we are. That's not perfect, and it's probably not tight enough, but I'll fix that later. There we are. So that's my double Mother's Day box with 2 compartments in the bottom, just to save it being another plain square box. So thanks for watching. Slightly longer video this time, and apologies if you found it a bit boring looking at cutting all the corners and things, but I'll see you again very soon. All the details will be underneath. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll pop a link to my shop if you like any of these products that you've seen as well today. So until I see you again, take care. Bye bye.